How can I get better at English conversation? It's such a big concern, and anyone wants to know. I asked a native speaker who speaks English. There are many good ways, but the first thing you need to pay attention to, and the most important thing, is you have to think in English. It may be different from situation to situation, but let's look at the way it is expressed in English. Your English conversation will improve more like English.
In English, we often express politeness indirectly. For instance, instead of saying, "Give me the remote," we might say, "Could you pass me the remote, please?" When making requests, we prefer using softer language. Instead of, "I want coffee," try saying, "I'd like a cup of coffee, please." English speakers tend to be explicit when setting plans. Rather than saying, "Let's meet sometime," we prefer, "Let's meet at the cafe on Friday at 5 p.m. When disagreeing, it's common to soften the impact. Instead of a direct, "I don't think so," try, "I'm not sure I see it that way." English conversations often involve acknowledging others' opinions. Instead of dismissing with, "No, you're wrong," try, "I see where you're coming from, but I have a different perspective." In English, we tend to apologize even when it's not our fault. Instead of avoiding apologies, try, "I'm sorry to hear that you had a difficult day." When uncertain, rather than saying, "I don't know," we often use phrases like, "I'm not quite sure, but I'll look into it for you." In English, expressing gratitude is important. Instead of a simple "thanks," try, "I really appreciate your help. Thank you." When someone shares good news, English speakers respond with more than a "congratulations." Try, "Wow, that's fantastic news. I'm thrilled for you." Use inclusive language to involve others. Instead of, "I did this," try, "We accomplished this together as a team." English speakers often express agreement politely. Instead of a plain, "Yes," consider, "Absolutely, I couldn't agree more." In discussions, avoid abrupt transitions. Instead of jumping to a new topic, use phrases like, "Speaking of which," or "on a related note." When expressing uncertainty, we use phrases like, "I might be mistaken, but I believe it's in the second drawer." In English, it's common to confirm plans explicitly. Rather than a vague, "Maybe later," try, "Can we plan to meet around 7 p.m.? When giving opinions, we often use qualifiers like, "It's somewhat challenging, but I think we can manage." English speakers value clarity in communication. Instead of a generic, "Call me later," try, "Feel free to give me a call after 6 p.m. when I'm available." In English, expressing empathy is vital. Instead of just, "I'm sorry," try, "I'm sorry to hear you're going through a tough time. How can I help?" When someone shares a problem, we often respond with more than, "That's bad." Consider, "I'm really sorry to hear you're going through this. Let's talk about how we can solve it together." In English, we tend to downplay our achievements. Instead of saying, "I'm great at this," try, "I've had some experience with this, and I'm happy to help." Use qualifiers to express caution. Instead of a blunt, "No way," try, "I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's worth looking into." In English, we often validate others' feelings. Instead of brushing off with, "You shouldn't feel that way," try, "It's completely understandable that you feel that way." When someone shares a problem, offer support beyond a basic, "I'm sorry," try, I'm here for you. Let's figure this out together. In English, we frequently use small talk to initiate conversations. Instead of diving straight into business, try. How was your weekend? Do anything interesting? When expressing disappointment, soften it by saying, I was hoping for a different outcome. But let's work together to find a solution. In English, we often use humor to lighten the mood. Instead of a stern, this is serious, try. Well, this situation is a bit like trying to juggle flaming torches. English speakers appreciate when others acknowledge their efforts. Instead of a simple, thanks for your help, try. I want to express my gratitude for your hard work. It made a significant difference. When expressing surprise, we often use phrases like, I can't believe it, that's amazing news. In English, we tend to appreciate collaboration. Instead of a solitary, I did this, try. This project turned out great thanks to our teamwork. When someone shares a personal achievement, we respond with more than just, good job. Consider. Congratulations. Your dedication and hard work truly paid off. In English, it's common to express excitement using phrases like, I'm over the moon about the opportunity to work on this project with you. Expressing agreement often involves more than a simple, yes, try. Absolutely. Your point makes total sense. When faced with a problem, English speakers might say, this is a bit challenging, but I believe we can find a solution together. English conversations thrive on active listening. Instead of just saying, I understand, try. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your perspective. In English, expressing uncertainty doesn't always mean saying, I don't know. You can say, I'm not entirely certain, but I can find out for you. When someone shares a personal experience, English speakers often respond with, that sounds like quite an adventure. Tell me more about it. In English, we use phrases like, I can't thank you enough for your help to convey deep appreciation. English speakers often use qualifiers like, it's a little complicated, but let me explain it to you. When expressing agreement, you might hear, you've got a point there, I agree with you. In English, we appreciate clarity. Instead of a vague, maybe, consider. I'll check my schedule and let you know by tomorrow. When someone is going through a tough time, we often say, I'm here for you. We'll get through this together. English speakers often use phrases like, I completely see where you're coming from, when acknowledging another's perspective. In discussions, English speakers transition smoothly by saying, by the way, have you heard about the new project? When someone shares a personal goal, we often respond with, that's an ambitious goal. I believe you can achieve it. In English, expressing gratitude for small favors is common. Instead of just saying, thanks, try. I'm grateful for your help. It made a big difference. When someone shares exciting news, English speakers might say, that's incredible news. I'm genuinely happy for you. In English, when expressing disappointment, soften it by saying, I was expecting a different outcome, but let's figure out the next steps together. When someone is uncertain, they might say, I'm not entirely sure about that, but I can look into it for you. In English, conversations often involve giving others credit. Instead of a plain, I did this, try. This achievement was possible thanks to the hard work of the entire team. When discussing plans, English speakers prefer specificity. Instead of a vague, let's do something, try. How about we grab dinner at the Italian restaurant downtown on Friday? In English, expressing surprise often involves phrases like, I can't believe it, that's such unexpected news. Alright, class, imagine you're at a friend's house. And you need to borrow their charger. Can I say, give me your charger? Good question. In English, it's more polite to say, mind if I borrow your charger for a bit? Now, let's say you're making plans with a friend. Instead of saying, we can meet whenever, what could you say? Maybe, let's meet later. Nice try. In English, we prefer specifics. Like, how about we meet at the park at 3 p.m.? Imagine someone sharing their accomplishment with you, and you want to show excitement. Instead of a simple good job, what might you say? Congratulations. Absolutely. You could also say, wow, that's fantastic news. I'm genuinely thrilled for you. Now, let's talk about expressing disagreement. If you don't agree with someone, is it okay to just say, no? I guess not. You're right. Instead, you might say, I see where you're coming from. But I have a different perspective. Imagine you're apologizing for being late to a meeting. How could you say it in a more formal way? Sorry, I'm late. Right idea, but in English. We might say, I apologize for the delay, traffic was unexpected. Now, let's focus on giving directions. Instead of a simple, it's on the left, how could you be more descriptive? It's over there. Almost there. Try. You'll find it just past the bookstore. On the left-hand side. In English, we often use indirect language. Instead of saying, I need your help, how might you phrase it? Can you help me? Good start. You could also say, I was wondering if you could lend me a hand with this. Let's talk about expressing gratitude. Instead of just saying, thanks, what else could you say? Thank you. Definitely. You can also say, I really appreciate your help. Thank you so much. Imagine you want to share your opinion but soften it a bit. Instead of saying, that's wrong, what's a more considerate phrase? I disagree. Great attempt. You could say, I respectfully disagree, here's my perspective. Now, think about a situation where someone is stressed. Instead of just saying, don't worry, what might you say? Calm down. Good intention. In English, we might say, take a deep breath, things will get better. When someone asks for your opinion, instead of a plain, I don't know, how could you phrase it more diplomatically? I'm not sure. Exactly. You can also say, I'm not entirely certain, but I'll find out for you. Imagine you're making a suggestion to a group. Instead of saying, let's do something, what's a more specific phrase? How about we do something? Perfect. You could also say, I suggest we go to the new coffee shop downtown, what do you think?
How was it? Was it helpful for you to study English conversation? We will always come with content that can help you. Then look forward to the next video.